hello today for all the newcomers. Welcome. Happy to see you here. My name is Anna, and today I'm going to talk about how AI can elevate content designers. And it might be a weird way to put it because when people talk about AI in relations to content designers, usually come up as a scary topic, especially for some folks in North America and Europe. I think the sentiment there is a little bit more on the cautious side. So, how can AI elevate us, people who work with words and people who create effective content for web? Well, in order to answer to this question, I think we need to first take a look of the status of AI adoption in the industry in general. And here by industry, I mean big international corporations who are the main users of AI at this point in the business context. So we're going to take a look at how it is being adopted and what people use it for, how it's related to content design. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about what it means for content design from my perspective and based on multiple conversations with different people that I had in the last few months. And then I'm going to show you my vision for how we might address the challenges that we're facing right now in the context of AI. And I'll share some practical examples as well, mostly coming from my team at AliExpress, where I lead content design, localization, user research, um, among other things. All right. So without further ado, I'd like to start by asking you guys a question. Um, think about big international corporations that create digital products, that create apps. How many of them, in your opinion, use AI? How many of them adopted AI? Can you give me a percentage? I can go to chat real quick and see what you guys have to say. 80% from Arno. Okay. Anyone else? 90. Okay. I like the stakes. Okay. 91, 92, 93 sold for 90. Okay. 70. Okay, more modest estimation from Juliet. I like that. Okay. If we take a look at the data collected by Statista, we can learn that it's actually 78%. Okay, let's think about this number for a second, right? It means that out of 10 companies, 8 are using AI in one capacity or another. It might be different in your organization. It might be different for your team, but that is the direction. That is the big status quo, right? Okay. Global is a little bit broad of a concept, you might say. What about my country? What about Asia? What about China specifically? Well, let's take a look at that. If we look at the AI adoption by region, we can see a very interesting picture. First of all, again, this information comes from some studies done by IBM and Statista. And what they discovered is, first of all, there are different levels of different ways of interacting with AI. You can deploy it or you can be experimenting with it, right? Which they classified as deployment rate and exploration rate. So if we look at the top countries using AI, you can find that China is actually in top 5. China is actually in top 5. Only coming after India, United Arab Emirates, and Singapore. Yeah, and the deployment rate is huge. As we can see here, it's like 50%. So 50% international Chinese companies are using AI, according to the study. And we can see that actually AI exploration rate is a little bit lower than some other countries, as you might see. But that's most likely because all these ideas have been tested already, and they all move to this bucket where they get deployed and where they get implemented in the product. So it's not really a nice to have. It's not really a experimental thing that is not for everybody. It's here and it's very likely here to stay. All right. So if we look at how exactly these companies use AI, we might think of a few uses, right? Um, some might think, oh, it can help developers create code more efficient. The result is zero coding products happening now. People might say, okay, it can speed up design process. Well, according to the study, actually most common ways that companies are using AI are customer service, security, digital assistance, customer relations, inventory management, and drumroll, content creation. So 35% of companies interviewed by Forbes, and that was on sample size, I believe, over 200 companies. They use AI for content creation. So content creation is quite a big area, right? Quite a big area. And that's what we do. We do content creation, right? Of course, content creation is a broader concept, and it involves not only creating content for product or creating content for marketing. It's a broader concept. Yet, it's one of the most popular use cases. Now, marketing people, digital content creators, are especially likely to use AI to perform their day-to-day roles. And the interesting thing is, people who use AI in their marketing teams, they report seeing positive ROI. So what it means is it's not only there, it's not only what's widespread, it's also bringing good results to people who are using it, right? To people who implement it in their companies. But how exactly they implement in their companies? What is the most common ways, like to use AI for content creation? What kind of content you create? Yeah, and what it does for you. Well, again, if we look at state of AI in marketing report, um, teams who adopted it report increased productivity. They report that it saves time collaborating between teams, maybe because of more digital workflow or digital assistance, um, better overall role performance, as in, it empowers individuals to be more efficient in their roles and do better work or do more work in the same time, right? It offers better personalization, and we will get back to that in a bit later in this talk. It can also create more valuable data insights, or it can help people quicker understand how their content performs, what can be potentially improved, and such. Also, projects also work together better, and positive feedback from stakeholders. Now, if you look at this ways to measure ROI, I think we can see a clear division
Anna, I
between
think we lost you.
hello, hello today.
I
Am I
can
am I
hear
back?
you. I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, you're back, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. All right. So, as I was saying, the ways ROI is measured can be split into two big buckets. First has to do with productivity, right? Teams are more productive. Teams work together better. Individuals are more productive, right? That has to do with increased productivity. Better personalization, better data insights, better ROI, positive feedback from people who request your content. That is better business performance, right? So, we can look into it as two main expectations for content creation for the web, right? That is AI empowered and AI supported. Okay. Now, out of this new opportunities and new expectations, which one we can address? Which one we have tools and skills to address? Which skills we need to develop? I think in order to answer to this question, we need to go back to the core of content design itself. What do we do as content designers? Well, what we do has to do with many aspects. We have to be responsible for the whole cycle of content creation that involves planning, as in setting the goals together with your team, what this content is for, what this product is for, what this error message is for. How might we address this need, or how might we address this problem? Um, we might have to do some research. We might have to brainstorm with designers. We might have to brainstorm with our product. We might have to set a process on how we plan together better, right? Um, we might develop some user research skills in order to do the planning right. We might learn more about product side and design side, like UX design side, in order to collaborate better with these people, right? Then we have creation, right? As in creation of content, including creating our style guides, creating our editorial policies, making sure that the copy is consistent, our terms are consistent, and then resulting in production, aka writing. Yeah. We also need to oversee maintenance, right? How does this content performed? When we launched it online, did it meet our expectations? Did it meet the goals that we set together in the beginning? Um, how do we measure it efficiently? How do we iterate it based on the feedback from users and data that we got? How do we update it, right? And of course, for some team more than the others, I know that people who work in software as service, they might be doing more of this. Maybe e-commerce doesn't do that much of that, but unpublishing is also another important step, right? What are the rules? What are the conditions for content um, to be removed from online, right? What are archiving rules? What are some policies for risk avoidance? How do we make sure that the content is compliant? For example, in the case of like changing new policies that you need to adjust for, right? So what is the process for all that? This is the content design, right? This is the content design in my head and in your head, I hope, right? And just so to make sure that we're on the same page. This is content design as it identified by Sarah Winters, Sarah Richards, after she got married. How is defined by Nielsen Norman Group in their article about content design. But how does your organization see content design? Out of this planning that involves deep strategy insights, close work with your team, close work with your users, um, creation that involves setting so many rules and making sure that those rules followed, um, maintenance, making sure that we uh, publish the right things, that we iterate right things, and publishing that has to do with like removing things that are no longer relevant or helpful or useful for your business. Out of all this, when your stakeholders think about content design, when your stakeholders think about your job, when your organization thinks about your job, what do they see? This question is crucial for understanding how to work with AI. I think there are some organizations that see only one aspect of content design work, which is writing. And when your organization sees content design as just writing, everything else goes away. It becomes just writing, writing all the time. Nobody invites me to my project early enough for me to contribute. Yeah, because they think that all you do is writing. Or people unpublish this good content and publish their own content that doesn't meet our standard or company regulations. Well, because people think that you're just writing. They don't see how you own processes and how you contribute in a meaningful way and how you oversee the production and looking at improving the production efficiency. And people don't see how you contribute to strategy. And if your organization is set like that, you find yourself in the what I call the pit of production. Everything moves by. You are stuck. You are stuck writing. Your organization is stuck at seeing you as a writer. And this is a very dangerous position to be because writing can be done by AI. Good or bad, that's another topic, but it can be done by very quick and efficient algorithm. And if your whole job is perceived by you and your organization as writing, then I think you might be in danger. And it might be very obvious why, because the production is going to be taken care of by something else. How might we get out? How might we get out of the speed of production? That's the question that we need to ask ourselves. Because production is easier, is cheaper, and faster than it was ever before. Before, the production side of it used to be the only deliverable. And when applied to different industries, such as coding, for example, people would say, talk is cheap, show me the code. As in, show me your deliverable. Show me the writing. Yeah. But now, everything turned. And a younger coder actually came back to this famous phrase by founder of Linux. He said, "Code is cheap. Show me the talk." What is the strategy behind your writing? What is the idea behind your writing? What is the goal behind your writing? How do you write to be effective? How do you write to be really good? How do you write to scale the good and show other people the good? Well, that brings us to two ways out of the pit of production. And this framework is not fully mine. I borrowed it from my design leader, Buyen, in Alibaba, and I adjusted it a little bit to fit content design framework. So there are two ways out. There's two ways out is the way we see it. The first one is what I'm going to call strategy route, which is going to deliver result number one, ROI number one, that we discussed before, better business performance. Yeah. And second route is efficiency route, which is about increased productivity. And if we look at the main steps and principles of content design, we can see that actually planning, such as setting the goals, um, understanding the needs of your users, understanding the needs of your business, um, setting up the process to consistent um, delivery of good and maintenance, uh, they all fall under this strategy direction. Now, when it comes to efficiency, of course, we're talking about producing more content. That's about creation. That is about writing. Yeah. Don't be the one who produces content. Be the one who owns the production. Right. Be the one who sets the rules for production, and of course, setting unpublishing rules. Yeah. Um, in that context, what do you need to have with you? What kind of equipment do you need to bring with you when you are taking strategy route, and when you're taking efficiency route? First of all, in order to achieve better business performance, you need to know what is the current business performance, right? In order to do it better, you need to know what is the status quo. You need to know closely who are your stakeholders. What do they want exactly? What are they after? Um, Nobody's sitting there thinking, how might we make better user experience in the business team? Most likely, they don't really put that question this way. They maybe frame the question as in, how do we improve retention? How do we attract more traffic to this new sale? Right. So you need to be able to speak their language and understand their goals and find the way, literally to their heart, find the way to connect with them and establish yourself as a partner who can work together with them and help them achieve those goals from the content perspective. That's why you need to know their goals. You need to know the current performance of the tool or process or app you're working on. You need to be able to see the data and draw conclusions from it together with your product or design partners or by yourself in order to identify how exactly we can work together, how might we make it work better, right? Of course, another skill that you would need, another tool that you would need on this side on this side of the pit, getting out of the pit, is user research, right? um, Very um, simple way to achieve user insights, and very underused way, I believe, in many companies who might want to cut this part because of the speed, because of the other budget considerations. But if you are there, you can help your business team see the things from different perspective and push them forward in a different way. Yeah. Journey mapping, of course, to bring everybody on the same page, to make sure that everybody understands what exactly are the current issues and how might we use our knowledge of users and business and technical constraints to get it addressed. Yeah. So here, your end goal is to help business, right, achieve better performance, make this content perform better, make this product perform better, make this design perform better. Yeah. When we talk about efficiency route is, I think, um, is also very interesting, but in a different way. We are talking about increasing productivity, right? So again, first of all, you need to know how productive you are right now, how productive you personally are right now, and how productive your team is if you are a manager, right? What is the process? What is the process? How might we split this process in shorter steps, and how much time each step takes, right? How we ensure the quality for the content folks here. How do we make sure that everything is consistent? How we make sure that everything is matching our style guide? Are we, in order to write a button in the way that is consistent with the buttons written before, do we go to our term base? Do we go to our style guide? Do we just drop a message in Slack or DingTalk or any other work messenger that you have, saying, "Hey guys, how do you usually write checkout button?" This is the same action, right? And this is the same goal of making sure that the text on the button is consistent. But there are just so many ways to achieve this goal, right? And again, we need to think about the most efficient way to do so, right? And this route, I think is more technical. While this route is focusing a lot about people, even though there's data aspect to it, this part I think is more technical. It's more technical in the sense that you need to be able to actually build some AI agents. You need to be able to do prompt engineering. You need to be able to build this agent-based workflows. You maybe need to learn some coding, right? Once you realized how to break down the process in simpler steps, uh, how do you integrate in your workflow? What are some usual problems that people come to you with? Can you get them solved with a simple agent? And again, if you are not familiar with agent-based workflows and their creation, I recommend you strongly to go to our YouTube channel, Content Designer China, and check out a talk by Sharon Nee, who experimented a lot with agent-based workflows, and you can go and check it out. Right. Efficiency route also includes ensuring quality, right? Because you want to make sure that the work is delivered in a quality way. And if you want to scale, for example, if you want to integrate AI in your production, you want to make sure that it's actually scalable. Yeah. I'm going to give two examples. I'm going to give two examples of going strategy route and going efficiency route. They all come from the same person, and she's here today. Maria, I really appreciate your work, and I'm very happy to see you here. So Maria is a content designer who works on our user growth channels, right? And her focus was to create content for push notifications. And these are two users of AliExpress who just registered and who are very excited to be here, right? This is how we usually start the stories. Success stories. It's about people, right? It's about making sure that we deliver the right content for right people. Yes, it's true, but it's only part of the story. You also need to know what is the business part of the story, right? We're taking strategy route. We want to be strategic. We want to work closely with our stakeholders. Yes, we understand that these two users, they have different expectations and they prefer different types of content. Maybe they're both bikers and they like different kinds of biking. Somebody prefers more extreme kinds, somebody prefers more leisurely ones, but we send them all the same notification and they might be upset. See, I'm telling you this story, but there is a lot of work behind every bit of the story. Because in order to know that users are upset about getting generic messages, you need to talk to users, right? You need to know what users actually think about your product. Now, how well this works for business? People are unhappy with very generic notifications that just say recommended for bikers, but doesn't even specify what kind of product and or is it really even a product related to the kind of biking that I do. You also need to think from the business perspective. How does it perform for business? You need to talk to your stakeholders. So you need to understand what is CTR here. Do people click on this or not? How it performs? And then this is where you can start ideating. This is where you can uh, start drafting some different ways to approach this content. This is where your strategy thinking comes in. And you can say, hey guys, we can actually use large language models to increase personalization. We can create content based on these user groups. And we can generate a lot of it because, well, it's not going to cost us much. And this way we can make sure that we will cover the needs of many people and make our recommendations more personalized, right? This way, people will be happy because we know that they would be. We got that from our user research. And then um, by launching it online, we get exact data. In this case, bringing more users back to our platform, back to our app. Yeah. But in order to have the story happening for you, you need to really think deep about every step, right? First of all, if you are sitting in the production pit, this story would never happen to you because you are treated as writer. Nobody would ask you recommendations. Nobody would listen to you when you say things like, "Oh, we need to restructure the whole way these push notifications are done." You need to really sit together in the room with your stakeholders, and you really need to make sure that you understand what they want, you understand what users want, and you have means through your content knowledge, through your expertise, combine some new technology and the actual needs of users and business in order to create something new to bring results. Yeah. And I think that's a brilliant example of like stepping up and working more in a strategic sense. There are different ways to work a strategic sense, of course. You can move your work from production and focus more, for example, on the user research aspects of this, right? You can be more engaged in your team sprints if you're doing sprints, and try to connect the dots and try to be this person who has a good vision of every single story. What is designer's perspective? What is business perspective? What is content perspective on this particular project, and how we might work together to make it happen? Yeah. And how might we connect user problems solved um, through content to business metrics? That's it. That's the core of the strategic route. Now, if we're talking about production, efficiency route has to do with improving quality. Not a secret for anybody that there are a lot of hallucinations and a lot of issues with content generated by large language models, especially if they're not adapted to your organization, especially if they're not containing your term base and your content style guide or editorial policy. Yeah. So again, we can generate a lot of bad content that doesn't match the expectations, or we can spend a lot of time doing a review of this content. We don't want to spend a lot of time reviewing content, right? We want to be efficient because that's what efficiency route is all about. So again, when facing an issue of um, AI generated content being poor quality and not meeting our expectations, it would take the team a lot of time to actually review it and check it. What Maria did working on this project is she created a guide. She created a guide and she created a standard for how good content needs to perform in certain aspect, right? And again, because of her strategic approach and her good knowledge of the business team, she managed to actually implement this criteria, this quality criteria for the content, and ended up with better performing and more high quality content that we didn't have to spend so much time reviewing, right? And the overall quality increased significantly. That was also shown in data. Yeah, and That's example of efficiency route. Another example of efficiency route is taking problems that often arise in your organization and creating quick custom solution. For example, you work in an international company and your designers struggle to write correctly currency symbols or different formats for price in different languages. What you can do to address it and to avoid designers coming to you every day and asking you this question is you can build a simple um, AI flow, right? And just give it to designers. Give them a chat-based um, tool to interact with so that they can, instead of asking you, hey, how do you spell 100 rubles in Russian, um, they can just drop their question in the bot and get that question answered. That would improve your efficiency, and that would also improve the efficiency of a designer who wouldn't have to chase you around the office or wait until you answer their messages. They can get the answer quickly from this little tool that you built for them. Yeah. So again, that requires close relations with your business team. That requires understanding of technology. That requires understanding of your process, your operations. I cannot stress it enough. You cannot improve the process if you don't know how the process works. So that's really the key and the baseline of that. Yeah. In conclusion, um, number one, AI is here to stay. Um, take it as you want, but that is what is happening, and it is adopted by multiple large companies here in China and abroad. Big companies are more likely to adapt it fast. That is also the trend that we can see from the data. Um, so if you are working for the big company, this might be especially useful for you. And again, if you work for a big company, our management expects us to engage in strategic work or to improve efficiency based on, again, the research done on marketers for web and partially based on my own experience. Yeah. And it's not an unreasonable expectation. Nobody should stay in production pit. It's bad for your creativity because you cannot reduce your decision-making power, your power to co-create, your power to influence other people and just stick to writing anymore. It's it's not a place where we would want to be as creative beings, right? We want to do meaningful work that makes sense. We want to do meaningful work that helps others. So it's not an unreasonable demand to get out of the production pit. It's an achievable and reasonable expectation that takes proper planning and skills, right? So again, it's a good opportunity for all of us to think, what am I good at? What am I best suited to do? Do I enjoy planning the projects? Do I enjoy be involved in creative decision making? Do I enjoy organizing workshops, connecting the dots, helping people understand each other better in the office environment? Do I enjoy more exploring new technology, experimenting with AI, experimenting with custom flow, or creating my own bots? Am I interested in coding? What is your suit and what are you interested in? I'm sure there is a room for that in your organization. I'm sure there is a room for you to experiment with those things that I don't want to say come natural to you, but things that you're passionate about. Because with everything else being equal, things that you're passionate about are more likely to generate positive results than things that you don't care about. So it's very important to analyze your strengths and interests so that you can see what would be the right skills for you to develop in order to stay relevant, stay confident, and stay content. Because right now, with production part slowly being taken care of by large language models, we have everything we need to focus on helping ourselves and others to be more efficient and helping our businesses to make the right decisions. We have everything we need. We have no excuses. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. That was a great sharing. Can definitely relate to the how to say the AI fix that we found for all the currencies and the way they're being written. It was indeed a huge headache, not just for our designers. So it was definitely yeah, a great solution that we found thanks to AI. So yeah, very good. We do have some questions, um, a few of them. Okay, so first one. According to you, how can content designers view AI as a collaborator rather than a replacement? And what are some best practices for this partnership that you would recommend?
Mm. Again, I think the core thing here is to understand that AI cannot do your work. AI can do production. Your work is so much more than production. Production is only the tip of the iceberg. Things that go in our work are just so much beyond that, right? So I think that's a very important starting point, right? To understand what it can and cannot do, and what you do that it cannot do right now. Yeah. So again, in this way, you can reframe it. You can reframe it and be like, okay, it cannot convince my stakeholders to try a new approach to this product. It cannot convince my designer to try to align UI more with expectations of our target audience. It can write some text. That's great. I can use some help, brainstorm my writing or my ideas, right? But it's just the key thing is it's a collaborator, because it's just physically incapable of doing your work. That has to do with strategy and humans and connecting the dots. So think of it as an intern. It can do the thing that you clearly formulated for it. Yeah, but not a bigger picture thing. Yeah. So I think that would be my advice. And again, I think that's also um, how might we establish this partnership, right? Just understand, any partnership is about understanding limits of your collaborator, right? Understanding your own limits, and just using those that are best in both of you, right? Okay. Yeah. AI is more efficient than me in writing 100 push notifications in the next 5 minutes. But AI is incapable of reaching alignment with stakeholders on what this push notification should be about. So everybody does their part. That's it.
Great. Okay. Um, I'm looking at the question from Jensen. I found the question very interesting. Let me read it to you. How to identify stakeholders who are interested in applying AI to enhance internal tools instead of using the AI label to market upcoming products. And if they are, how to collaborate with them to push out more AI enhanced internal tools within the organization.
Hmm.
You
Okay.
probably have
That's
some experience on that, Anna. So yeah.
sorry. Yes. Yeah, Jensen. Also, if you want to elaborate on your question a little bit, you can also do that. If not, I will just go straight ahead. Um, I think first of all, you starting your question was like, how might we identify the stakeholders? Well, let's think. Let's think about who those stakeholders might be. There are, I think, potential two groups of people that you might be looking for in your organization. First group is AI enthusiasts, because I know people who are just very internally motivated to learn about AI and use it to improve their personal productivity. I'm not sure what are your company's attitude about, using AI for personal productivity. I know like some companies would, impose certain restrictions, or maybe there's some teams even who won't allow you to use AI at all. But if there are allowed conversation, open conversation about using AI at work in your workplace, you can try to see who is initiating this conversation and who is the part of this conversation, right? Who are the people interested in AI and who are the people talking about AI in your organization? Yeah, maybe there will be a talk, maybe there will be a chat group where people just exchange ideas and links. Um, so that's one way to get to know them, right? They already out there, they're already doing something, you just haven't met them yet. Yeah, so maybe that's one way, is to take a step and try to um, go get to know them better, and be more involved in those activities if your company has any. Now secondly, I think when it comes to internal tools, um, there is one very important predictor that I think is valid for you to identify those stakeholders who are interested, and people who are interested. Um, you need to know your stakeholders well, and you need to know their process. I mentioned it in my talk, and I'll stress it again. You need to know their process. You need to know where they suffer, where your stakeholders suffer. What do they spend time on? What they hate doing about their job. For example, let's take completely unrelated person that I made up, and Tokyo, I don't know, Anna, who just hates writing her weekly reports. Yeah, she cannot stand it. That's so tedious and boring to her. So she begrudgingly writes her reports every week because she has to. That's the expectation of her. Spends 2 hours to write it and translate it into Chinese, and she's very pained by that, right?
Mm.
And she shared it with you, Jensen. And somehow, instead of uh, your regular gentle pat in the back and sorry to hear it, you say, hey, actually, I know how to do it with AI. Maybe we can sit together and make a little flow that can help you organize information in a quick way. So you only have to edit your report a little bit instead of writing the whole thing from scratch. But you need to know that your stakeholders have these pain points, right? And once you know their pain points, and once you have an idea of how you might come up with a solution for their problem, oh my God, they're so willing to cooperate. They're so willing to cooperate instantly. They will be running. They will be running to you, and they will be sending each other the link to your tool that helps them solve their problem or address their pain. Your good solution will promote itself. I hope I answered your question, Jensen.
No, definitely. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for the insight.
All right. We also have, I think, a great question from Maria. Let me read it to you. From a team leader perspective, Anna, is it more
Mm,
effective for all team members to have a similar level of AI proficiency, or should there be a designated AI specialist handling such tasks? And in the first case, how can teams avoid redundancy with multiple members working on the same AI tools feature while ensuring efficiency? And in the second case, how can knowledge be shared to prevent bottlenecks and maintain flexibility?
mm, mm.
Great question.
Um, I think yes. First of all, and that's a great question. I think I'll try to give you an overview from my perspective, right? Because you talk about having the same level of AI proficiency, right? And this is about setting a standard. Um, Most companies have job models. They have clear expectations on each level, from, like, say, contractor to director. What are your skills and what are the expectations in this role? First of all, I think we need to further redefine those expectations for each role, right? So it might be helpful for organization to establish clear expectations for each level. And of course, nobody, I don't think it's an achievable situation when everybody has similar level of AI proficiency. You know what I mean? Just like people naturally don't have the same level of proficiency in the things, you know. Yes, we can set a baseline, for example, with job model or with some like company evaluation methods, right? But somebody is, for example, somebody is really good at a user researcher is especially um, good at interviewing people, while some other researcher is better at analyzing data, for example. And with everything else being the same, if you give them both the same task of conducting interviews, the person who's proficient in conducting interviews going to perform better, right? Same with AI. Same with AI. If you learned how to code for the last 3 years and I didn't, and we expected to reach the same level of AI proficiency, that's probably not achievable, at least not in the short term. Yeah. So my current take is, number one, there has to be at least somebody. There has to be at least somebody. No matter if you decided to step up and become that person for your team, or maybe such person was hired for your team, um, to kind of set the standard and to open this opportunity, right? And just try to use what is available to you and learn. Yeah. And I think when multiple team members work on the same tools or features, I don't think it's a big problem. I don't think it's a big problem, especially right now. I think there is no cookie cutter, clear, well defined way to work on AI features. Everybody does it their own way. Everybody does it their own way. So I personally think that when people work together and share different ideas, it gives more room for experiment, and it gives more room for trying different approaches, which in the end generates better results. So I don't think it's a problem for many people to work on the same feature. It's just eventually they will come up with one good solution, right? Um, and Also, as people gradually learn more about using these tools and this new processes, I also hope that they might that they create something that is more tailored for their needs, right? Because nobody knows your domain as well as you do. If you have one designated person from the team doing all AI things and everybody else does just their work, then number one, it's too much pressure for that one person, and number two, it kind of puts you in the position of, I will have to wait for this person to reach my request, because they have to process requests from everybody else as well. And if you know how to create a simple flow, uh, even for a bit, you might be able to solve your own task. You might be able to solve the problem at hand by yourself, and that might be faster than waiting for somebody to do it for you. So that's, Maria, that's a fantastic question. I did my best to answer. I really don't know all the answers, but if you asking me now, that's what I would say.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you. It's really inspiring.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Perhaps somehow related to that question, Anna.
Mhm.
Um, a question: do you think content designers need to specifically know how LLM tools work to get an edge? And perhaps, for the efficiency route that you described, do they need
Yeah.
to know how tools works, in behind the scene, I would say.
Mhm. I think it definitely would help. It definitely would give you an edge, right? Um, if I may make an example, um, say you just bought a car. You just bought a car and you have very basic knowledge about how the car works. You can still drive, right? You can still go one place to another and you'll be good, right? But when something breaks and you only have basic understanding of the car and what makes it go, then you probably get dependent on other people to fix it for you, right? So and the more you go, for example, okay, first you take it out, something breaks, and then the repairman explains to you what exactly happened and how to prevent in the future, so that by having this obstacle and by you know having this issue, you kind of learn something about your car, right? And the longer you have the car, the more you know about it, right? If you really put your mind into it. So I think in the beginning, it's not like, oh, you have to know everything that is to know about LLMs in order to start. No, you don't have to. You just start. You just start. And if it has its shortcomings, you will learn about them as you go. So definitely not a must, and nice to have. And the more you do it, the more you're gonna have it. Yeah.
Hmm, that's a great analogy. Yes. Okay. And perhaps one last question, unless someone. Okay, Rachel has to go. Take care, Rachel. One last question before we move to the breakout room. Are there any specific courses, certifications, or resources you recommend for content designers wanting to deepen their understanding of AI?
Oof. I think one resource that I will recommend very confidently is Larry Swanson's podcast,
Mhm.
because he's been doing a lot of work on AI, and he has a dedicated podcast on that. And I think he really knows so many people in the industry, and they all have such brilliant perspectives on how to use it and how to adjust to it. So I think if you only do one thing, just go and check out that podcast. I will be sending the link in the group soon, once I'm done typing typing it. Yeah. Content plus AI. That's what it's called. Content plus AI. And I am sending the link in the group right now so you can check it out. I did hear um a lot about like, I heard a little bit about different courses that are specific for content designers on how to use AI, but I don't feel confident endorsing them because I haven't taken them. And the podcast I listened to, and I found it helpful. So go check it out. Another thing is everybody's favorite content designer, Tori Podmajersky, is releasing a new version of her book, Strategic Writing for UX, which is also going to include some content on AI. So it should be coming out later this year. So you know, follow Tori on LinkedIn. Follow up on the updates on the book, and check it out. I trust your opinion fully.
All right. And we got one last questions from Juliet, okay? And she mentioned don't feel pressured to answer if it's if there is any NDA involved. She's asking, are there already established trainings within Alibaba for AI tools?
Uh, okay, fantastic question. Let me think how I might answer it in the way that is publicly available. Okay, it is publicly available. Um, so Alibaba released Comfy UI Copilot, which is AI-driven solution, and it's open source, and it can help you create you know um, different flows based on nodes. Yeah. And in that aspect, there is a course on ConfUI, as in how to use ConfUI. So I think you should be able to check it out too if you are interested. Um, I will try to find a link right now. I believe it doesn't have English version, only Chinese. That's why
Mhm.
I'm kind of struggling to find the link. But yeah, ConfUI Copilot, check it out. Um, very user friendly, and developed by Alibaba. So yeah, I cannot find the link right now, unfortunately. I will add
Mhm.
it to the meeting recap.
All right. Okay. Thanks a lot. I mean, AI is a topic that you often cover. I think you did that in a panel discussion last year with Growing Content. You also gave a talk for D20 about that. This year, you're also gonna give another talk for D20
Yes,
on this,
yes, yes.
and it's good to that you're sharing with us, your latest insights on this. The Pete, how to say, image analogy is very strong, I think, with those two,
Mm,
two ways to get out of the pit, to just make sure that content design is not just a deliverables, and that's how it make it so easily to replace. So it's definitely a great analogy that personally I'm going to reuse, um, to explain, yeah, to explain clearly, um, our relationship with AI. And thanks for the resources. Yeah, Larry Sonson is very strong references that everyone can go check.